Hello, I've had quite a lot of trouble getting my prescription. I get prescribed eye drops every month as a prevention for glaucoma, to lower the eye pressure, and I'm on about 3 or 4 different drops as a precaution against glaucoma. I'm in the early stages of glaucoma, sadly, and my mother had glaucoma and it runs in the family. I guess it's not the most serious of illnesses, but it's been a bit frustrating, this not being able to get my prescription, and I go to the pharmacy, sorry, we can't prescribe it. Then I have to contact my GPs, and can they prescribe substitution? And we've been getting the substitution, but now even the substitution they couldn't get. And I kind of said to my pharmacist, what's going on, you know? I was wondering, I'm kind of reaching out to people, are you having that kind of problem? And also, I think it's possibly a bigger problem than is being spoken about in the media, in the main media. And I was really urged some investigative journalists to have a look into this problem, and I'd love to see, like, for example, a panorama investigation into this issue, because I think it's really important and it's worrying. And I think there are lots of factors going on according to what I've read. And I also, you know, I really feel for my pharmacist, who I feel is feeling quite upset over the situation, and perhaps a bit concerned and worried and stressed. But it's weird. So I'm taking drops that I'm not prescribed, but they're kind of an alternative to my prescription, and possibly inferior to what I need, but there we go. But I understand from certain quarters that it's a widespread problem, that there are bottlenecks with production, that the war and the Straits of Hormuz and that has slowed down supplies going into the manufacturers. I understand that the prices have dropped for certain drugs and that they're hardly worth making anymore. But within this country, I think we've got additional problems that are special to the UK that really affect our pharmacists. And I understand that some pharmacies may be in cash flow crisis. I don't quite know how it works, so do let us know, do write in. But I think they may be cash flow crisis in that, they're submitting their accounts, this, and that the NHS is slow in reimbursing. So this has caused a bit of a cash flow crisis in that the pharmacies are buying the drugs, and they're not being repaid for these by the NHS or the government for quite some time. And this is causing cash flow problems for the which is not of the pharmacies making. An additional problem as well is that some drugs are commanding higher prices from the wholesalers, so the pharmacies are having to pay higher prices, and they're being reimbursed less by the NHS. So for example, they're buying aspirin for £3 a pack or something, and the NHS are only giving them £2 a pack, so they're making a loss when they of £1 when it's prescribed. There's more expensive drugs that cost about £14 or something, and they're only being reimbursed about £6, which is quite substantial, isn't it? And I can imagine if I was a pharmacist, I would be saying, oh, sorry, we can't supply that particular drug, if they're going to make a loss on it. So maybe that's a factor. But I don't really know what's going on, and I'm kind of putting this YouTube out to you guys. Are you having a problem? But what's the answer? And is, could somebody please investigate this and what is going on? But I think me personally, I'm really unhappy that the pharmacists are having to pay more for certain drugs, and they're being reimbursed less money than what they should be by the NHS. I think that's terrible. It's disgusting. And I think 2/3 of pharmacies are reported to have made a loss in 2025, I understand, and the owners are having to raid their savings, and they're having to remortgage their houses in order to keep going. And that to me is really worrying and a bit of a crisis. And I'm personally quite surprised there isn't more discussion about this issue in the media. I feel really sorry for the pharmacists, and I understand. I was in the pharmacy the other day, and there was a very aggressive looking person leaning over the counter and sort of getting quite grumpy with the pharmacist when it's out of order. And I think they're in a terrible sandwich situation, in that GPs can be really slow prescribing and releasing the prescriptions to the pharmacies. So there's like a delay, considerable delay of about 5 days in some cases. And people are going to the pharmacy, oh, it's not ready yet, because they haven't received the prescription yet from the GPs, you know, of the monthly prescriptions. So it's a big quagmire, and for pharmacies to make such a loss, it's just worrying if it really is true. And I think the NHS has become diluted over the years. You know, dentistry, it's hard to get dentists. Opticians, I mean, when I was young, there was a lot more stuff available on the NHS, and indeed I had NHS glasses when I was young. And I think the NHS has got diluted. And is this where we're going with our chemists? To get the eye drops I need, am I going to have to go private or something, you know? Anyway, do write in with your comments. Is this more of an issue? You know, I'm not too worried about myself. I'm worried about the state of what's going on. I'm worried for people that need really serious medication, unable to get it. Okay, so but do please write in, and I'm going to put I think I saw a YouTube by somebody, a pharmacist, so I'm going to put that in the comments below. Do have a look at their YouTube as well. But I think it's, from what I understand, it's a worldwide problem, but we've got specific issues about reimbursing and the amount that's being reimbursed to the pharmacists as well in the UK. So it's all really, really tricky. Anyway, all the best now. Bye-bye.